Good morning and welcome to Back to Basics. I'm Rico Burton and I am the AARP Arizona volunteer and your host today. We are so glad that you're joining us today, and be sure to tell us where you're viewing from and put any questions or comments you might have into the chat, and Coach SheriAnne will answer them for you. And if we get a little short on time, she will be sure to reach out to you and circle back and answer any other questions. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to more than 100 million Americans 50 plus and their families. That includes health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. AARP also produces the nation's largest circulation publications, AARP the Magazine and AARP Bulletin. In the month of December, AARP is going to help us navigate the complicated healthcare system. Caregivers are frequently frustrated by their healthcare system, from Medicare, insurance, and care coordination to inadequate healthcare staffing and medication management. We know helping your loved one navigate their medical needs is hard. And so AARP is your wise friend and defender here and is here to help provide support and guidance. AARP can help you with resources, expert content, and tools. Visit us at the URL that you'll see crawling across the screen for more information. Now, today is going to be another special day with Coach SheriAnne. She's going to share information with us about maintaining balance, stability, and flexibility. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Lady B. I am good. We're full swing into the holiday season, and it's finally feeling a little wintry here. It's in the 40s this morning, so I'm
Are
good.
you like that, huh?
I do. It's hot so much of the year that when we have our few weeks of winter here in Arizona, I relish it. So I love it.
Well, good for you. Good for you. It takes all kinds.
It does. I know most people are like, "Why is it so cold?" And I'm like, "I love it."
You know, I always just say it's not snow. I'm good.
I know. We don't live in snow, but it's funny. I say I want to live in snow, but people that live in snow are like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?"
Trust me.
Right. Well, today, yes, we are going to be talking about balance, mobility, flexibility, all of these things. And so let's just dive right into like understanding balance. Balance is maintaining an upright position. Your postural stability is maintaining, being able to understand where your center of gravity is, your base of support through not only just static movement, like just being static standing or sitting, but actually dynamic moving. So having the awareness that you have, is really, really important. And as we age, we do start to lose it. And why does that happen? A lot of it is because it's a sensory motor system that happens. So there's three parts to it. So your sensory motor is the feedback that your body gives to your brain. You have all of these proprioceptors throughout your body that tell you where you are in time and space, and that gives feedback to the brain. Then we have our visual, what we can see, and then we have our vestibular, which is our inner ear. So, I mean, have you ever had an ear infection or, where you feel kind of like you're on a ship or you're just feeling a little off kilter? And people don't realize our inner ear is very, very important when it comes to our stability and maintaining balance. So there's those three components. And so it's kind of a loop system with our central nervous system that communicates with our musculoskeletal system. So it's actually very simple, but also complex at the same time. And so the National Council on Aging has said every 11 seconds, an older patient is being seen due to a fallen related injury. And that's a lot. Every 11 seconds, someone being seen because of a stumble and a fall. And we all know that as you age, if you end up with a hip injury or a knee injury and you're immobilized, your life expectancy does get shortened quite a bit. So mobility is incredibly important. And when people are afraid of falling, because then we have now this vicious cycle of afraid of falling, so they stop moving, which actually perpetuates the propensity to fall. So it becomes this fear of falling, so I'm not going to move very much. And that's the absolute opposite thing that you want to do. You want to keep moving. And as we get into the show here, I will give you tips on how to stay mobile. But first, just want to talk about what really happens with people when they don't understand, like, the fear of moving. You need to push through that and either utilize a friend, a family member, somebody, if you have that fear, to go with you and start moving and start doing things. Because not only is it you have a fear of falling, but when you're not moving and being mobile and practicing your balance and your flexibility and your stability, your activities of daily living start to go out the window. And for everyone that's ever faced, the conversation of long-term care, that's one of the top things that they start talking about is your ADLs, which is your activities of daily living. Do you know what your ADLs are by any chance, Lady B?
They're good.
I'm glad they're good. But do you know what there's six that they actually specifically address when they talk about ADLs?
Well, I would imagine that they'd want to know about my movement, whether or not I'm able to stand or walk, whether or not I'm able to dress myself and can go to the bathroom on my own. Can I feed myself? I imagine is another one. And I don't know if dexterity is one. Why would they need to know about that? Maybe opening doors or doing something like that. What else? I don't know. Can't think. What else?
So I do B, C, D, E, and then T and T. So B is bathing. You got to be able to bathe yourself. Continence. You got to be able to control your bowels. Dressing. So that's your D. E, eating. And then toileting and transferring.
How is toileting different than, well, I guess if you're incontinent, you still have to get there. So, okay.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be able to use the toilet. But continence is just, being able to, manage it. But yeah, so if those start to get impacted, and transferring is literally like going from a sitting position to standing, moving into getting in and out of bed. These are critical things. A lot of people tend to fall when they're getting out of bed. So that's a transferring issue. But yeah, if you find that you're starting to, your ADLs, your activities of daily living are being impacted, just those 6 basic things, you really need to make sure you're talking to your doctor and finding out what you can do to help improve those, because you don't want those to go away, because keeping those activities of daily living really promotes the ability to age in place independently, which we all want to do. I mean, everyone wants to age in a place of confidence independently. Because when you start becoming dependent, it does impact a lot of mental, just everything in your life. And so it's really important to pay attention to those. And if they start slipping, that you talk to your doctor and find out what you need to do to improve them. Because 22% of people over the age of 65 have mobility issues, and so that's for me, I feel like that's quite a bit actually for over 65.
How recent is that study?
I did not write the year down on that, but
Okay.
it's relatively recent. And it's just important, because if you are staying mobile, your mental health is better. You're able to manage your stress better because your mood is better. So there's a lot of things. You have better heart health. You're able to control your weight better. It's incredible. The ages of, and I don't know the date on this either. I'll start putting these dates down now that I know that, because if you're asking, someone else is wondering. But the ages of 64 to 74 years old, over 40% of men and women are considered obese. And when you are obese and you're overweight, that does impact your ability to be mobile, which is going to impact your ability to be involved in social opportunities. So it's really important to be paying attention to, just like I said, your ADLs, because it's going to improve every area of your life. And it's just an easy way to kind of keep track and monitor, because if you're able to move and whatnot, it's going to help resist your chances of getting injured. And if you do get injured, you can actually recover much faster. Because if you are a stagnant person and you're not moving a whole lot and you do get injured, the ability to heal takes a lot longer. Um,
We
and
lose our muscle memory. And
yeah.
that's one of the nice things if we start early. But even if we start later in life, moving along the way, we can still create some muscle memory. So when things get a little tough for us or a little stiff, it'll come back to you about it and help you out a bit. So this is all very interesting. It's so very sense related as I was listening to you, the inner ear that we were talking about, so we have to be mindful of those things.
Oh yeah, it's one of the biggest things is just being aware. And it's because it will sneak up on you before you know it. You're like, whoa, what just happened? So just make sure that you're starting, you know, right now and being aware. And it's never too late to start paying attention. It's never too late to regain balance, stability, and flexibility. Even if you're struggling with it right now, when we go through some of the tips of what I'll have you do, it's it's okay. You can start now and improve. You can always improve. You can enhance your balance starting today. So don't poo poo on yourself if you don't have good balance right now, because we can improve that. All right, and we can regain the confidence that you might have lost by not having it. It's really important to maintain that confidence if you have it, because it's going to increase your self esteem and improve your opportunities to maintain your independence as long as possible. Because let's face it, we all lose that independence at some point, and so we just want to hang on to it for as long as we want. So it's really important to just keep moving and pay attention and be aware. So like one of the things I have people do is just stand with both of your feet on the ground. So if you're watching our show today, just go ahead and stand up and make sure your feet are shoulder width apart. And I want you to, if you're next to a countertop or your couch or your chair, whatever you stood up out of, just put your hand on it so you have some frame of reference, because I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. And you'll be amazed that when you close your eyes, if you're not touching something, most people will start to sway because they have no visual acuity of something to fix on to stay stable. So they'll start swaying, and so put your hand on something in case you do start swaying. If you are confident that you have the ability to stand there with your eyes closed and not move, great, and try it. We're going to do it for 30 seconds right now. And I want to see, so you're up, Lady B, you got to do it. All right. So go ahead and do it now. Go ahead and close your eyes for me. We're just going to do it for 30 seconds. And you'll be amazed at how interesting it feels to just have your eyes closed for 30 seconds. And just pay attention to what your body is doing. If it's starting to sway, or if you're starting to list one way or the other. And if you're touching something, try removing your hand from touching that as stability and see what happens. And you're going to open your eyes in 3, 2, 1. So are you standing or sitting, Lady B? Are you standing?
Oh, girl, I'm on Zoom. I'm only dressed from the top up. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Well, I'm standing, but it's because I have a standing desk, because I don't sit very well. Because you'll see me move all the time, because sitting still is next to impossible, let alone stand still.
But I will tell you, even sitting, it can be very challenging for me sometimes, because I do struggle sometimes with maintaining balance. I suffer with vertigo.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you're going to talk about that at all, but boy, oh boy, when my balance gets off, it can be a very scary thing. And sometimes I'm down a day or two, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that's a different, we're not going to touch too much on vertigo, because that's a very individualized thing that most people go through. Not most, I'm sorry, some people go through, not everyone goes through that. But usually have they talked to you about your inner ear? Because usually that's an inner ear. Yeah. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about it, and you have to really focus on visual cues to manage vertigo. So if you're ever in a dark space where things are moving or you have to close your eyes, that's a challenge, because your visual acuity is what keeps you sending the signals, because your inner ear is affected.
Right.
But for those of you that, yeah, if you're here watching the show, please put comments in the comment section, and let me know where you're tuning in from, because I do love to see all that and say hello and happy holidays. But if you can do that fine on 2 feet, the next trick is to do it standing on 1 foot. And it's definitely more challenging. And you'll probably find that 1 foot is better than the other. And that's totally normal. That's most people, they'll have a dominant leg that they can maintain balance with easier. But doing these, and I encourage people to do this on a regular basis, whether you're, brushing your teeth or standing in the shower or whatever, but try just standing on 1 foot at a time and work up, start at 10 seconds and work your way up to 30 seconds. These are great things. And then you can stand on stability discs or a pillow. And this is what a stability disc looks like. And you can inflate them. They're knobby on one side, smooth on the other. And you can inflate it. The fuller it is, the harder it is to balance. And the squishier it is, the more you compress down into it. But these are great to stand on also. Or you can just use a pillow, like a decorative pillow if you don't mind standing on one of your decorative pillows. But you can do that as well. And doing those really helps train the proprioceptors in the ankles to help just control you and give you and strengthen that ankle too, because that's your first point of contact, is that foot on the ground. So if you have strong ankles and good proprioceptors in the ankle, then you have the ability to catch yourself when you're off balance more often than not. Another one to help improve your balance and coordination is walking heel to toe, like you're doing a tightrope. And so if you just go heel to toe right in front of each other for about 20 steps, that's amazing. And if you need to have like a broomstick or a stick that helps give you some balance, if you find it to be challenging, walk with a cane or a stick or something that can give you a little bit of stability. Because believe it or not, walking on a heel to toe is definitely more challenging than people think. Another one to do is to sit and stand without using your hands. Have you thought?
I can do that. I think sometimes it's a little challenging, but just because I think about my knees sometimes, but getting up, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can still sit with my legs crossed and still stand up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. Not many people can do that. That's really impressive. But yeah, if you're sitting, on a chair, on the couch or anything, try to just pick your knees up, pick your thighs up, put your feet down on the ground and just stand up without using your hands. A lot of people have a tendency to rock or push. But if you can, sit to stand without rocking or using your hands, that's awesome. And then another one to help improve balance and coordination is to do heel to toe raises. So you go up on your toes, and when you come back down, raise your toes up, rock back on your heels, and then go back up on your toes. So you're just rocking on your feet back and forth, and doing heel to toe raises. And then another one is marching in place. And when you march in place, use your arms. When we walk, our opposite arm moves with that leg. Same thing when you're marching in place. And when I say march, I mean high step march, like bring that knee up. And it retrains the brain on our motor skills that we develop when we're first learning how to crawl. And so marching and bringing that arm all the way up to match that knee. It's really, really important. And then another one is to walk sideways. It's amazing what people, because we don't walk sideways, we always walk forward. But walking sideways really helps also the proprioceptors in our hips to move sideways. Because sometimes we have to make a side step when we're out in public and walking at the mall or walking, in a public place that's pretty busy. But using those lateral movements. So make sure you're practicing to walk sideways.
And I think a
And
fun way to do that might be to have a little music on and do the electric slide, or the one of those things, to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left, then to the right, you know? Hey, you'll learn how to dance and you can move.
I I love it. Yes.
Sounds like fun.
No, that sounds like my way of moving. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's amazing. It's one of those things that we just take for granted, and so it's really important to not let those things get away from us. And so whenever you're doing these, do them for about 20 steps. The marches, the walking sideways, the heel to toe raises, the um, heel to toe walk, the tightrope walk. Do about 20 of those when you're doing those, and do them a couple of times a week at least. If you can do them every day, I would strongly encourage you, because it only takes a few minutes.
Looks
Um,
it looks like you're right on the mark, Coach. As Michelle Kaufman says, that she walked sideways when she was doing her PT, I guess her physical therapy. So
yes,
yeah, what you're telling us is something that the professionals do as well.
yep, absolutely, absolutely. And so, first and foremost, too, though, when you're considering, one of my top tips for people to stay mobile is to get your eyes checked. Manage your eye health. Impaired vision impacts our mobility because of the fear of falling, and you're not able to like see things clearly and objects and whatnot, and you don't have the confidence to see steps, curbs. um, so make sure that you're managing your eye health. It's really, really very, very important. So get your eyes checked regularly, because they do change as we age. uh, so it's just one of those things where it happens. So manage your eye health big time. Another one that you can do at home is also using a foam roller and making sure that you're rolling out your muscles and stretching and maintaining some flexibility. And a foam roller is actually a really nice way to just give yourself a self massage. Uh, do you own a foam roller, Lady
I'm not
V?
sure. I don't think I know what you're talking about.
So it's like a big tube, and it's just a big foam tube. Mine is one of my boys took mine. Um,
Like one we use in the pool?
no, that's like a noodle.
Right. But I'm wondering, do you get one of those in foam, or is that just too
But
big?
yeah, so a foam roller is much more dense. It's
Okay.
so a noodle for the pool is like squishy. The foam rollers are very, very dense. And of course, the child took mine, and I didn't make sure I had it. Um, but you can lay on it on your back, and you can roll on it because it rolls.
Oh,
Like, so you can roll with it. You can put it under your legs and move your body across it so you can roll on it. And it's amazing because it'll just help roll out your muscles and help you maintain some flexibility, because you have to do it on the floor. And that's the other thing, is our culture, we don't get down on the floor as we age, whereas like a lot of other cultures, they do still get in the floor. um, and I always encourage older people, like, make sure you're getting in the floor and playing with your grandkids, because it will help you stay mobile and stay flexible.
get
um,
on the floor when somebody else is there, because just in case you can't get up.
exactly. Then they can help you.
Right, or something like that. Well, Teddy Lauer asked a question: does it matter if you have your shoes on or off? That was one of the things I was wondering when you were talking about side to side and heel to toe and all the rest as well.
Teddy, that is a great question. Um, I prefer people to do things without their shoes on or with a minimalist shoe, because then their feet can really get a good feel for the ground. What happens with tennis shoes and shoes in general is they have such a thick foam on the bottom that we lose connectivity with the ground. And and plus, shoes have a tendency to have the easiest way to say it is like a drop. So what it is where your heel is higher because they have so much foam in the heel. And this started back in the 80s when Nike created running shoes with a very thick foam heel, and it drops down to the toe because people were heel striking when they were running, and it was to help prevent injuries. But when we walk around and we do that, that's not how our bodies are designed. And so they've gone back to minimalist shoes and zero drop shoes where you stay flat, because what happens is when you raise the heel, the Achilles gets short, and because the foot's at a slant. And so then when you go without that drop, the Achilles is strained because it's not used to being flat footed. So I always encourage people to do as much as they can in flat shoes or barefoot or a minimalist shoe, um, to just really, really focus on staying connected with the ground. But I do understand that a lot of older people tend to go to the squishier shoes. So if you like wearing those shoes, then do the exercises in the shoes.
I would just think when, on tile floors or stone floors or something, it's hard. And so, we want to walk in a shoe of some sort, even if it's a deer foam, that has something. So taking them off can be a little tough, I think, sometimes because of the hardness of the floor.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're not jumping, we're not doing anything super strenuous, but it's if you can get a good feel for how your foot is, because the other thing too with shoes is a lot of shoes have narrow toe boxes. And so what it's doing is it's taking away our ability to display our toes out and really feel the ground the way our foot is designed to feel the ground. Because when you squish those toes together, it doesn't really give you the ability to feel what you're supposed to be feeling. And shoe companies are getting smarter and smarter about it because they're making shoes better for us for our foot health, because foot health is important. And for a while there, it was not. I'm even seeing companies like that make high heels for women, like dress shoes, more comfortable with a wider toe box to allow the foot to do what it's supposed to do rather than cramming it into a Cinderella shoe. So,
Absolutely.
um, but I know we're running out of time because this is such a great topic that everyone needs to know. But other things that you can do to help improve your stability and your coordination, your balance is dance. Go do some yoga, Tai Chi. Even swimming is amazing because you're in a horizontal position, but you're still having to pay attention to where your body is in time and space, but in water. So getting involved in other activities where you're moving your body constantly, and make sure that you're doing some strength building exercises to maintain that muscle mass, because as we age, our muscle mass does go away. And so if you're not taking a concerted effort to keep it, it's going to go away. And that's, you need to maintain as much muscle mass. They're putting together the amount of muscle mass is directly related to our longevity. So make sure you're maintaining that muscle mass and practice good, proper posture. So many of us are like this, working at a desk, or everything we do is our shoulders rolled forward. So make sure you're taking the time throughout the day to roll those shoulders back and down and elevate your sternum and walk proudly. Don't be afraid to walk proudly, but have good posture because it will help you maintain your balance massively so. So make sure you're rolling those shoulders back and down and keeping that sternum elevated.
It also helps your back muscles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it'll help you so much in so many ways to pay attention to proper posture.
You look better in your clothing, just everything.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. You look so much better. The last tip I have for you is to consider eating an anti-inflammatory diet. Eating things that don't inflame you, and pay attention that if you're eating something and you do feel inflamed, stay away from that. And it's different for everyone, but anti-inflammatory foods are like green leafy vegetables, making sure that you're putting olive oil. You can drizzle olive oil on your food, put it in your salad dressing, cook with it, but that's a big one for anti-inflammatory. Nuts like almonds and walnuts, those are anti-inflammatory. Fatty fishes like salmon, tuna, sardines. I've gotten into eating sardines lately, and I'm actually enjoying them. At first, I was like, well, I'm not sure I'm going to enjoy it, but I like them. Berries like blueberries, boysenberries, raspberries, cherries. Cherries are a huge anti-inflammatory fruit. So if you're, anti-inflammatory diet does help with mobility, because if you're inflamed and things ache and hurt, you're less likely to move. So pay attention to see if your diet is actually impeding your ability to be mobile. Little things that we just totally take for granted that we don't, we forget to pay attention to.
Absolutely. Well, there are also things like chair yoga that you can do to find
Absolutely.
ways to get, to work on your core, to get your balance. That's part of it. Wall Pilates. There's a lot of
Yes.
things that you can look at online and also through AARP and get some information about what might be a good way for you to do some of the things that Coach is sharing with you. Well, we're glad that you were with us today. Thank you so much, because we know you could be anywhere else. Thank you. We're glad you enjoyed the tips, Evelyn. Thank you so much for letting us know that. And as Jean is asking, is there a way to see a recording of this class? Absolutely. It goes up on our site afterward. So you can certainly take a look at that, plus other back to basics that have been around in the past. We're going to be back next year. Yay. And Coach is going to have a whole new set of information for us to help us live well as we age. Thank you so much for being here. Take care. Merry Christmas. God bless.